Spent last year with the Washington Nationals at .242, 8 home runs. 1 and 2. Each team now 3 runs on 3 hits. Diamondbacks had a 1-0 lead. Cleveland went up 3-1. Now we're tied at 3. Doesn't chase the 1-2 pitch. Cabrera even now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Savali about to throw pitch number 50 in the ball game. He's only worked 10 innings all spring, Aaron Savali, so he doesn't seem to be as stretched out as you might think this late in the spring.
He did pitch in a B game, but only 4 starts in Cactus League play.
Keep an eye on those back fields when you're counting everybody's innings. So Madison Bumgarner do that the other day. Worked a B game back there where he practiced the Johnny Cueto quick pitch. Mad Bum is next scheduled pitch against the Reds in a couple of days. 1:10 here in Scottsdale.
If you would have asked me to make a list of major league pitchers who are likely to go to the Cueto delivery,
he would have been last on the list.
He would have been last on the list.
But you know, he said it was funny. Hey, I've watched him do it. It works. It's almost silly not to at least try it. And he seems to be to the point where he's comfortable enough to maybe throw it in an actual game. So might see that from Mad Bum over the course of this year.
And the cool thing about it is if he does it once, it'll show up on the scouting reports and every hitter will be worried about it. Is he going to quick pitch me? I have to be ready if he quick pitches me. He might only do it once a game, but it'll plant a seed in the back of a hitter's mind.
50 pitches, 30 strikes for Savali, who had retired 6 in a row and 7 of 8 before the walk to Marte. Peralta doubled, Rojas doubled, that tied it at 3. Now he's running full on Cabrera, 3-2. Nick Ahmed would be next. Chang will play behind the runner at first, Escobar. A lot of room for Asdrubal on that third base side. There goes Eduardo. Asdrubal hits one in the air down the line. Can it stay fair? Asdrubal, Cabrera sends one way out of here. Second Diamondbacks homer tonight. The third this spring for Cabrera. Make it 5-3. And Asdrubal styling a little bit. He knew he got all of that one.
Has to feel good to hit a long home run against your former team, even in a spring training game. Well, we were talking earlier about Nick Ahmed and his ability to keep a ball fair down the left field line. I thought this ball was going to hook foul for sure. But Cabrera catches it out in front of the plate, gets a little backspin, and keeps it just inside the pole down the right field line.
Nick Ahmed now. Well, Cleveland got a 3-run second inning. The Diamondbacks have countered with a 4-run third. And here's Nick. Here's ball 1. Josh Rojas, a 2-run double, as Asdrubal Cabrera, the 2-run homer. Haven't seen a lot of bad swings in terms of chasing pitches outside the zone by D-backs hitters tonight. I mean, Cabrera was down to the count 1-2. Laid off a few bad ones. Look out, buzzes the tower that time. 3-0 on Nick.
Now, Josh Rojas' first at bat of the ball game when he ended up drawing a walk. He did chase a couple of breaking balls in the dirt in that at bat, but yeah, everybody's been pretty disciplined, especially on that breaking ball just off the outside corner.
Josh, another good night so far. A walk and a 2-run double. 3-0 on Ahmed. Carson Kelly on deck. Nick swings at the 3-0, pops it up to second. Hernandez is under it. A big inning for the Diamondbacks as they answer back. Rojas, a two-run double to left center. And then Cabrera hammers one down the line in right. After 3, it's 5-3.
Spring is fun.
Back in Scottsdale, set for the 4th inning. Steve Berthew, Bob Bradley with you. D-backs lead the Indians 5-3, thanks in no small part to a Josh Rojas two-run double, and that's when you bring in the hitting coach. See, this is good. You got that mask?
Hang on.
We want to.
There we go.
There you
You
go.
can't cover up that much handsome. that's TV 101 right there.
There you go.
I tell you what, Bob and I were looking at a split screen, DC, of Josh Rojas last year and Josh Rojas this year. I know everybody's talking about Josh, but the contrast between last season and this season is startling. I know you worked with him all winter long. Can you sort of give us a breakdown of that process?
Well, there was a combination of myself, Ski, which is Eric Hinsky, and Drew Hedman, with a couple of our camera people that got together. Wanted to make sure that we did all our checks and balances, make sure that we understood what he was doing wrong, which was closing himself off and not giving himself a chance on pitches on the outer half of the plate.
Right.
So he was kind of fighting himself, so he became more rotational than linear, and what that means is he's not allowing himself a chance to stay on or through anything, so he would rotate in and out of the strike zone and not allow himself a chance to stay through the ball. So we did some high-speed video. We changed his body position and made him more square to the pitcher rather than allowing him to, and I'll let you guys call this play.
Well, actually, DC, we're going to go to the split screen I talked about. I realize you can't see this now. There's no monitor down there, but we have Josh on one side from last year and this side, and you were talking about the changes.
Well, and our objective was just to make sure that we didn't put a Band-Aid on it where you close yourself off because it doesn't allow you to stay on the ball. It keeps you from pulling off, but it doesn't allow you to get through or stay through anything or make adjustments. So we made those adjustments, and obviously, so far, so good. Things have worked out well for him and us. I think he was a huge part of the Houston trade, and again, he's going to be a viable part of our offense this year.
Yeah, DC, the split screen that we just showed the fans at home, the shot from last year, you could see both of his numbers, the 1 and the 0 on the back of his jersey, and his name as the ball was on its way to the plate. This year, as you mentioned, he's much more squared up. He can handle pitches away. He can handle pitches in, and it certainly seems to be something he's comfortable with.
Yeah, and again, he's comfortable with it. We are in the cage daily, making sure that we have our checks and balances, that you're not closing yourself off, that you're staying square to the pitcher, that you understand how your body works. We went through a whole assortment of things this winter, from strength and conditioning to the trainers to everybody understanding how the body moves and what we could do in the training room as well as in the strength and conditioning department, making sure that all the moves made sense. And so far so good. It's worked out great for him.
Josh Naylor, it's going to work out well for him. His first home run this spring. Caleb Smith had retired 6 in a row, but Naylor gets one back for Cleveland. DC, who else has been, I guess, a star pupil this spring for you guys?
Well, I guess if you could go through tonight, Ketel Marte.
Sure.
That's good coaching.
Oh, my goodness. You know, again, Christian Walker's had a fantastic spring training. Again, we've got a lot of guys that are preparing, you know, for the season. Drupal Cabrera obviously has swung the bat well. But, you know, we didn't make a lot of changes because we didn't need to. We feel like, as an organization, we had all the pieces in place last year. Pandemic got us. We all got that. It was a struggle, and it wasn't a good year for us, so we can turn the page on that. But coming in this year, you know, our expectations don't change.
Chang sends one to the wall in left field. This is going to be extra bases. Go ahead, DC.
Well, we continue to, you know, understand our guys. You know, last year we had some struggles at times hitting fastballs, so we made some adjustments this year. I'm always looking at trying to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve and understand what teams are trying to do game planning wise, and make our adjustments both in the game and pregame. So we looked at some things, we made some adjustments. Part of those adjustments was having a 2-plate system where our guys are seeing arms on a daily basis, but you move you know, a full 5 feet closer to the pitcher. So now you're working on your game swing during batting practice, and allows us to make our adjustments so that we're fastball ready off arms and not just off of machines.
You know, DC, years from now, Josh Rojas will tell stories about his favorite hitting coach, Darnell Coles. Who were some hitting coaches maybe that affected you during your playing career or your coaching career, other hitting coaches?
Well, Veda Pinson, when I was with Detroit. I also had him when I was with Seattle when I first signed. So he was a huge influence on me and how I go about my business and understanding how pitchers pitch you. Wally Joyner was the hitting coach in Detroit in 16 when I got hired there as the assistant hitting coach, and I learned a lot of things from him. Obviously, you had great hitters in Miguel Cabrera, J.D. Martinez, as you guys well know. He was here and did fantastic, but you know, understanding how the body moves, understanding the nuances now of launch angles, and making sure that our guys don't get caught up in so much the fly ball era, but making sure that if we're going to hit our home runs, we want to be on this side or that side of center field, left center, right center, and stay to the middle of the diamond, because most of the damage is done there.
1-1 count on Roberto Perez, who had a 2-run double in the second. This is Sky to short, right center. LaCastro coming in. DC, you mentioned Ketel Marte earlier. Does the fact that so many key hitters on this roster are switch hitters, does that make your job twice as hard?
Oh, it does for me and for them. I think, but most of them, I think, if you're looking at our guys, the struggles are on the left side, and that's just based on their naturally right-handed hitters, so they're having to work a little harder and understand their swing and how their body moves from both sides of the plate. So I think in a lot of instances you have breakdown issues where guys are moving towards the pitcher a little too much, or you're opening up a little too soon and you're not giving yourself a chance to stay on or through some pitches. But I think at the end of the day, we've got one of the better offenses in baseball, and I look forward to these guys going out and proving it this year.
Are you a launch angle guy? Is that sort of become almost passé now? What's the next thing?
Well, I think the next thing is just continue to understand how pitchers are pitching you, make your adjustments either in-game or pre-game. But most importantly, hit the baseball hard. I don't think that is something that is launch proof, so to speak. I think that if you hit the ball hard, good things happen, and I like our chances. I think that, you know, we're in a tough division with San Francisco's improved, obviously. San Diego and the Dodgers have outspent everybody, and obviously they got great teams too. But again, we're one of those teams that's silently sitting in the bushes waiting, and again, our guys are prepared and ready to go.
Got to shock the world, right?
Oh, why not? Why not us? I'm looking forward to it because, again, you know, when you go out and you play the games and you understand what teams are trying to do, then you go about your business and pay attention to detail. And you're not always going to out-homer teams, but if we can do the little things, we run the bases correctly, we hit cutoff men, we move runners, we put ourselves in position to drive in runs, then I love our chances.
Hardest working man in show business right there, Darnell Coles. DC, thanks so much for your time. We sure appreciate it.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it, too. Thanks.
Right. See you. End of the inning right on time. Perfectly produced. Indians get one back. It's 5-4 Diamondbacks.
Come on, hurry up.
We are under the lights at Salt River Field. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly with you. D-backs lead the Indians 5-4. Fans, you can download the MLB app to get in-game video highlights, live pitch by pitch, breaking news, player updates, stats, leaderboards, the whole thing. Your Arizona Diamondbacks and the rest of the league follow along by downloading the MLB app. Carson Kelly leads off the fourth against Cleveland right-hander Aaron Savali. Carson struck out his first time up. 5-4 Diamondbacks. Our thanks again to Darnell Coles, D-backs hitting coach, for joining us in that half inning. That hitting staff with Eric Hinsky, Drew Hedman, those guys, the day starts early and ends late.
Yes, it does. Spend a lot of time in that batting cage.
Oh boy.
And the video room.
He mentioned the way that they're trying to become more fastball ready, which has been a bit of an issue the last couple of years. You watch them now throw batting practice. The plate moves up, the mound moves in. Pretty soon it seems like they're about 10 feet apart.
Well, we've talked about that, and as a coach with the San Francisco Giants, I had to throw a lot of batting practice, and by the end of the season it was hard to get it to home plate, so we do exactly what the Diamondbacks have done to try to simulate a game speed fastball, and that was move the pitching screen a lot closer to home plate.
Yeah, man, I mean, it looks like they're right on top of each other when they do the drills in the backfields. The other thing that DC mentioned, I'm glad he did, was that to see the ball, to see the arm, because they do that, but it's no longer the pitching machine, it's batting practice. And a lot of guys said, you know, when you just hold up the baseball and put it in the machine and then just, it goes through there, you can kind of hear it. In fact, Christian Walker was saying that you can hear the machine make an adjustment. So even if you're not trying to hear, you know, okay, here comes a breaking ball. So that goes away, and you're seeing, and tell me if this makes a difference or not, you're seeing an actual human arm throw a ball at you rather than have it spit out of a pitching machine.
It makes a big difference.
We'll count on Carson 3-2.
And the pitching machines themselves have evolved over the years. There used to be the old iron mic.
Oh, yeah.
It was an arm that went around in a circle and was connected to a car spring, and it was fairly easy to time. The problem was it didn't consistently throw strikes. They came up with the double wheel pitching machines that you could throw breaking balls, and Carson Kelly goes down on a breaking ball. And throughout it all, they even got to the point where they had a screen that projected a picture, a moving picture of a pitcher out there, and the ball would come out the hole right where the release point was. They tried that for a few years, but nothing is as good as seeing a live arm. You get into a rhythm with the pitcher's delivery. I've talked a lot about that. I had a hitting coach that told me it's like a dance. Hitting is like a dance. You try to dance with that pitcher. You get into rhythm with that pitcher, and part of that is seeing his delivery. A guy like Savali, who has that little back step, a little hitch in his giddy up. Clayton Kershaw down in L.A. has some unusual things he does in his delivery. And you just have to stand in that batter's box and find a rhythm with that pitcher. Of course, everything else needs to be in place. Your body needs to be where it needs to be, and you need to swing at good pitches. But facing live pitching is what every hitter likes to do.
Well, we'll talk about that with Tim LeCastro. Tim will join us whenever he comes out of the game. Ball and a strike. And check that time, and it's 1-2. I got to ask him if he's read any more of that book. Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, it's a classic. Tim was doing a radio interview with the Moral Compass, Mike Farron, and they asked him what he did during his COVID quarantine. He said he read a lot. Oh yeah, I'm really into I got really into reading. I read a lot. Yeah, I read this great book. Oh, well, what'd you learn from the book? And he said, well, I'm only on chapter 2. I'll have to get back to you. See, the book was Relentless by Tim Grover, talking about sort of the mental approach to success on the field. So we'll talk to Loco about that. Hockey coming up Friday. The San Jose Sharks and Coyotes, 6:30 on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. Things are going to get a little crowded on the family of networks with the Suns, Coyotes, and Diamondbacks all playing now at the same time. So check your local listings, as they say. That's Line to Ramirez at third. And now a quick word about a big change coming to our network.
Your favorite teams have a new network. Fox Sports Arizona is becoming Valley Sports Arizona. March 31st.
Looking forward to that. It's a whole new look coming up March 31st. Just in time for opening day, which is amazingly a week from tomorrow. D-backs open up with 4 at Petco Park against those Padres. Caleb Smith now. Savali has retired 3 in a row since the Cabrera homer. Caleb Smith's out of Huntsville, Texas. Pitched collegiately at Sam Houston State. Originally a Yankees draft pick, 14th rounder back in 2013. Bounced around a bit. Stalled in the Yankees minor league system. Was a Rule 5 pick. Picked up by the Brewers. Went to the Cubs. Went back to the Yankees. Traded to the Marlins. And now a Diamondback. Perez will finish off the strikeout. That's the third for Savali, who set down 4 in a row. But the Diamondbacks lead at 5-4. Back in Scottsdale, Steve Berthiaume and Bob Brenly with you. D-backs lead the Indians 5-4. No fooling Thursday, April 1st. Opening day kicks off on Bally Sports Arizona starting at 8 a.m. It's Bally Sports big opening day as you get a live look into opening day across the regions. And then it's the D-backs and the Padres. The opener from Petco Park. Game begins at 12:30 with D-backs live on the new network, Bally Sports Arizona. Defensive changes behind Caleb Smith. Josh Van Meter takes over at second base for Josh Rojas. Rojas slides over to shortstop, replacing Nick Ahmed.
You got to be joshing me.
I see what you did there. I believe that's the only defensive change so far. We'll keep you posted as things move along here. Jordan Luplow set to lead off the Cleveland fifth. Been an up and down start, Bob, for Caleb Smith. At one point he retired 6 in a row. But gave up a big inning in that second. 3-run Cleveland second inning. They added one more on the Josh Naylor homer in the fourth.
I think the troubles he's run into in the ball game tonight, especially in that second inning, getting a lot of pitches up, especially the slider. You can get away with a fastball up in the zone if it's up at the top of the zone, but you throw sliders up there belt high to major league hitters, bad things tend to happen.
He's only walked 1 so far. That's a good sign for Caleb. Luplow has struck out twice. He'll start the fifth. So Van Meter at second, almost right behind the bag there in the outfield grass, and Rojas is the new shortstop. A lot of questions about center field in Cleveland. Luplow was one option. They're actually, desperate might be a little harsh, but remember Ahmed Rosario, the shortstop from the Mets? We saw him the last several years. He came over in that Lindor trade as well, along with Jimenez, who has done such a good job. He appears to have won the shortstop spot, so they're now looking at Rosario as a center fielder. So he's been out there lately for Cleveland. They haven't yet solved that center field problem. But it's Luplow out there tonight. Popped it up near the screen. Carson Kelly will have a look, but that's out of play. D-back spring continues on the road tomorrow afternoon. They'll take on the Royals. Luke Weaver gets that start tomorrow afternoon, a 1:05 first pitch against lefty Danny Duffy. We saw Duffy here for Kansas City Saturday in Scottsdale. It's back home on the day after that. Mad bum against the Reds, against former D-back great Wade Miley, as Caleb Smith gets strikeout number 4.
Well, one thing we know about Wade Miley, he'll work quickly.
That's for sure, right?
We loved Wade.
Cesar Hernandez 0 for 2. Yeah, the Reds will not apparently have Sonny Gray available for opening day. The Reds are the opponent for the Diamondbacks home opener. They think Gray might be back in time for that series for Cincinnati. Caleb Smith now at 60 pitches in the ball game through 4 1/3. And ahead of Hernandez 0-2. Hit hard by Van Meter into right center. Josh was shaded over toward the second base bag. It's a 1-out single for Hernandez.
Well, you were talking about Hernandez earlier and what an impact he makes pretty much everywhere he goes, especially against the Diamondbacks. I remember him having a lot of big games against the D-backs as a member of the Phillies.
Yeah, he kind of always got overlooked in that lineup. And the more you watched him, he's just steady.
Yep.
Really steady. Now he's a Gold Glover now. The dangerous Jose Ramirez has twice popped up to second. Ramirez, the runner-up to the White Sox Jose Abreu for the AL MVP award last year. Third time in the last 4 seasons that Jose Ramirez has finished top 3 in the MVP vote in the American League.
Well, switch hitters that hit for power tend to find their way to the top of that MVP voting.
True, right? Caleb so far 4 runs all earned, 6 hits, 4 1/3. Only 1 walk. That's a good sign. He's got 4 strikeouts. Cabrera, a little tap on the head for his fellow Venezuelan. Cabrera is one of those guys when he's either at first base or third base. He's always messing with the opposing team in a fun way. He'll sort of pull the jersey, tap the guy on the head.
With another check over there at first base. You may remember back in that second inning, Josh Naylor had a huge jump over at first base, easily stole second. So Caleb Smith paying a little more attention to the Indians base runner.
Ball and a strike on Ramirez. Oh, this is launched high in the air, left center. Peralta just in front of the warning track has it. And that's allowed out number 2. He just missed one.
Too high.
What do you mean too high?
Sounded good off the bat, but a lot of the energy was wasted straight up into the air. David, plenty of time to range over into the gap and make the play there.
2 down for Eddie Rosario, the left fielder. Cleveland without Francisco Lindor will have to find a way to compete with the White Sox and the Twins in that American League Central. They always find a way to get into that postseason mix somehow, it seems. Here's a look at the overshift on the first base side. And Meter well back in the outfield grass at second.
I think in the American League Central over the last 4, 5, 6 years, whatever, there hasn't been a clear-cut front runner.
No.
This year with the White Sox, I think that's the team everybody's looking to knock off the throne. I mean, they are loaded. We saw them last week. We saw some of the White Sox last week. They sent the B squad over here, but when they have their regular lineup on the field, they are a handful.
Yeah, they got some studs in that lineup. They've added Lance Lynn to the rotation. Liam Hendricks is going to close and throw in Lucas Giolito. Everybody's raving about Dylan Cease this year. That's a good one. Might be their turn in Chicago for the next several years.
Could be.
With the Cubs not quite rebuilding, but maybe shuffling the deck a bit. 0-2 on Rosario with 2 outs. And that's a balk. Nestor Ceja, the plate umpire, waving Hernandez to second. He started, he stopped. That was the word into the Diamondback dugout. Center field for Cattell. Smith able to strand that 1-out single. Bottom 5. It's 5-4 Diamondbacks. Nice night in Scottsdale. Diamondbacks lead the Indians 5-4. Fans, you can get updates right from the D-backs when you become a D-backs insider. All you have to do is text D-backs to 76925 or log on to dbacks.com/insider. You'll learn more about on-sale dates, pre-sale opportunities, giveaways, and a whole lot more if you become a D-backs insider. Apparently we have some defensive changes. It would help if they would face away from the camera. That way we could
See your number.
see
Yeah.
who it was. Ketel Marte leads off the fifth. He's homered and walked, scored twice. Ketel led off the ball game for the Diamondbacks with a long home run into the cacti above the batting eye in straightaway center, his third this spring.
He just looks hitterish right now. His timing is good. His hands pitch as well. All the things you like to have come into place right at the end of spring training leading into the regular season.
I think that might be Ben Gamble in center field, but I'm not sure. Yeah, if he just gets himself into good counts, he can do damage like this. Ooh. That's that big aggressive Ketel swing from 2 years ago that we didn't see very much last season. Tee it up and knock it out of here. As you heard Darnell Cole say, both Eduardo Escobar and Ketel Marte are switch hitters. Both are natural right-hand hitters, so when things tend to get out of whack, it's usually from that left side. Peralta on deck. Leadoff walk, second base on balls for Ketel Marte tonight. That's a great sign.
Oh, that's a tremendous sign. Recognizing the strike zone, what he can handle, what he can't handle, and willing to take the walk rather than try to force the issue and make something happen on a bad pitch.
He's been aboard all 3 times. A home run, 2 walks. Here's Peralta, who doubled and scored his last time up. Third walk issued tonight by Aaron Savale. To smoke one to left center as part of that 4-run Diamondbacks third. Came around on Josh Rojas's 2-run double. Rojas on deck. Confirmed that is indeed Ben Gamble, the new center fielder for Cleveland, replacing Jordan Luplow. 1-1 on Peralta. Just missed away. 80 pitches for Savale. No outs in the 5th. There is some stirring in the Cleveland bullpen now, but no one warming up as of yet. Punches that one through by diving Jimenez. Marte hustling into third, and the freight train is in there at second base. A hustle double. Peralta's second double tonight. Applause, applause. Good aggressive base running there too by Ketel.
Hey, you heard Darnell Cole say, you know, the team needs to do a lot of things well this year, and one of them is base running. Good job by Ketel Marte running right in the face of Eddie Rosario out there in left field, and David Peralta, the trail runner on the play. He sees the bobble out in left field, never slows down, ends up in scoring position.
That's why you call him the freight train right there. He is a big dude moving at high speed. So nobody out, second and third in the 5th, and here is Rojas, who has walked and hit a 2-run double. Punches one to first for Chang. Everybody has to stay put, and they can't move the runners along. We are back with you for more Diamondback spring training baseball coming up. D-backs and Royals. presented by Chaz Roberts. That's tomorrow's game, 1 o'clock on Fox Sports Arizona, and streaming on the Fox Sports Go app. Pitching matchup in that one tomorrow, a 1:05 start. Luke Weaver and Danny Duffy. Eduardo Escobar 0 for 2.
On that Rojas ground ball to first base, David Peralta had taken off for third, was about halfway between second and third base, but Chang at first was just so focused on getting the out at first base he didn't realize David was out into no man's land.
It's got to be tricky for Tony Perez-Chica, the third base coach, in this spot when you've got second and third and first base open.
There's a lot of tricky spots for a third base coach, and I've said this in the past. If you ever come to a ball game and maybe it gets a little lopsided or something, watch the third base coach when there's runners on base. Forget about where the ball is hit. Just watch the third base coach. Tony Perez-Chica will probably run a couple of miles tonight up and down that third base line, go up the line past the base at third so that the runner coming from first around second can more easily pick you up.
Now watch TP here. He's going to wave him in. Oh, he's going to put the brakes on Peralta as Cattell scores to make it 6-4.
And on a ball like that where you're bringing the runner around third base, you come as close to home plate as you can so you can either stop him late or send him late. It's a lot of fun to watch a third base coach run up and down that line depending on where the runners are.
Escobar with the RBI is 8th this spring. And here is Asdrubal, who hit a long home run down the right field line his last time up, his 3rd of the spring. Home run down the right field. They're on the course with a 1 out.
And occasionally you'll get a third base coach, if you put the isolated camera on him, maybe that isn't quite as good at his job as he should be. I've seen third base coaches stand in the same spot in that coach's box for every hitter, regardless of how many runners are on base, who the hitter is, stand in exactly the same place and either wave guys or throw up the stop sign. And in many instances, they're out of position. It's not the base runner that gets himself thrown out. It's because the coach wasn't in a good position to stop him at third base.
Now TP has completely moved to the other side of the coach's box. He was down near us when it was second and third. Now he's moved to the other side.
He wants to get as far up the line past third base so that when Eduardo Escobar rounds second base, he can very quickly pick up Tony because he's up the line. As Eduardo Escobar rounds second base and heads for third, Tony will come way down the line toward home plate to bring him around the bag at third and make that last second decision whether to send him on home or put up the stop sign.
0-2 on Cabrera. Savali trying to come in and missed.
And as we've seen repeatedly throughout the history of this game, sometimes fractions of a second make a difference whether a guy is safer out at home plate or third base or second base. And if that coach can give you a fraction of a second by moving into your line of vision as you come around the base, it makes it a little easier for the runner.
This was Cabrera in the 3rd with 2 outs. He was down 1 and 2 in the count, worked it back full, and then there it goes. That's a little Barry Bonds right there. Way up on the berm. The former Indian. Back to TP cam up there. Cabrera waves at a breaking ball. It might have been that new Vulcan split changeup he's got. Savali now at 90 pitches, and it's time for a visit. That'll be it for Aaron Savali, who leads with 2 outs in the 5th, trailing 6-4. Diamondbacks have the lead. Back after this.
Fraction of a second, a blur going across home plate, the ball simultaneously hitting that blur, a bit of confusion on what just happened, thinking maybe someone from the stands threw something out. Just hard to really put that in perspective. It happened so quick and caught me off guard, and was a interesting, to say the least, moment of my career.
Yes, today is the 20th anniversary. 20 years ago today, it was the big unit and the bird.
Yeah, it was a surprising moment for the bird, too.
The bird had no comment. Emmanuel Clase, who was suspended all of last year after a positive PED test, is on for Cleveland to face Josh Van Meter. Josh's first at bat tonight. He's got runners on the corners now. And 2 outs. I think Randy felt bad about that. Everybody thinks it's a big joke, and it obviously has a humorous side to it. But I think Randy really felt bad for the bird.
Well, I think Randy was mad at the bird because he is so focused when he goes out to the mound, even in a spring training game. He doesn't like to monkey around. He doesn't like, a lot of the horseplay. He's out there to hone his craft and get ready for the season, and the bird tried to interrupt.
Now, you were there for that.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea what the heck happened?
No, it happened so quickly. Like Randy said, it was just a blur and then a cloud of feathers, and we all looked at each other. What in the world just happened? And it didn't take long to figure out exactly what had happened. I felt bad for Rod Barajas. He's trying to dodge a bird and the feathers, and he knows the ball is somewhere in the vicinity. I think Calvin Murray might have been the hitter from the San Francisco Giants. He was as shocked as anybody.
Except the bird.
Yeah, except the bird.
20 years ago today. David Peralta is the runner at third. Eduardo Escobar, the RBI single in this inning at first. 2-2 on Josh Van Meter. It's like when your buddy on the golf course puts one of those exploding golf balls when you're not looking on the tee. 6-4 Diamondbacks. Look out for the birds.
It could have been an indirect play. But that's a play that they work on for last-second situations. It's nothing that Monty just drew.
Defensive changes all around the field for the Diamondbacks here as we're set for the start of the 6th inning. Caleb Smith still out there on the mound. Haven Smith is the new first baseman. It's still Josh Van Meter at second, Josh Rojas at shortstop. New third baseman is Yuniel Kirakudo. Outfield left to right. Wyatt Matheson replaces Peralta in left. Tim LeCastro slides over to take over in center for Ketel Marte, and Trace Thompson is the new right fielder. Those are all your changes. Still Carson Kelly back there for Caleb Smith. Franmil Reyes, who tripled and scored in the second, grounded out in the fourth, will start the Cleveland sixth. Backdoor breaker steals strike one. Reyes already with 4 home runs this spring. Drop to shortstop. They're getting another look at Rojas there. And they retire Reyes to start the 6th inning. That's 3 in a row now set down by Caleb.
I like that first pitch right there to Reyes. Big, slow breaking ball. Reyes is a dead fastball hitter, especially on the first pitch of an at-bat. He's looking to whirly bird and hit something out of here. Big, slow breaking ball that looked like it started in the left-handed batter's box and just dropped in there for a called strike one, immediately putting him in a hole. I like that pitch.
Good night for Josh Naylor, the former Padre, who was only 5 for 30 coming into tonight, but had the RBI single in the second and the home run in the fourth. Former first-round pick out of Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, Josh Naylor. This was Naylor with 1 out in the fourth. Nailed it.
Yes, he did. Let's see what you did. I think Naylor's going to have a big year for the Tribe this year. I really liked him, and he was a member of the Padres. He was a little inconsistent as a younger player, struck out quite a bit.
He's only 23 years old. Turns 24 in June. Packs it a bad one right there. Strikeout number 5 for Caleb.
Yeah, and like a lot of young hitters that have the power like Naylor does, you tend to think you can hit just about everything, which leads to the strikeout totals I mentioned. But if he narrows his strike zone down a little bit, I think he's going to have a big year.
Another good night for Yu Chang. A walk and a double. He's got 4 home runs this spring. Indians first baseman, 3 defenders now on the left side of the infield.
Another first pitch breaking ball to steal a strike.
There is no action as of yet in the Diamondback bullpen. Caleb at 75 pitches right here. A lot of bullpen jobs up for grabs. We anticipate seeing Anthony Swarzak, Yohan Lopez among others today. And that's another situation, Bob, much like the rotation. Now you don't know how long they're going to be without Zach Gallen. Caleb Smith becomes even more important. Maybe somebody else like, say, Taylor Widener or somebody slides into that rotation. Just speculating, obviously, at this point. But it's the same in the bullpen now with the loss of Tyler Clippard.
Yeah.
They're going to have to move some deck chairs around.
And Taylor Clark, another guy in the mix, to possibly win a rotation spot, although the numbers would say he's pitched extremely well out of the bullpen last year and said he's willing to do that again if that's what the team needs him to do.
Yeah, he's looked good this spring, Taylor Clark. A lot of options back there. Some non-roster guys like Chris Davinsky, Anthony Swarzak.
And I mentioned in the open of the show that Swarzak is out of options, which also enters into the equation. You might be surprised how much that enters into an equation when a guy is out of options and you have to put him out there for anybody. If you want to keep him, I mean, it gets real tough. You can't just send a guy back to the minor leagues for more season.
Chang lifts it out to right field. It drops in front of Trace Thompson for a 2-out single. Well, with everybody coming off the short season last year, trying to figure out how to cover all these innings this year, really every team in the major leagues, it's going to be the options express for all these pitchers back and forth from the minors. Just to have, 11, 12 arms back there that are fresh and can go on a given night.
That's when it's really advantageous to have a bunch of guys that have options left. As you mentioned, you bring a guy up, you pitch him out of the bullpen one night, maybe he has to give you 4 innings out of the bullpen, you flip him out, bring up another one.
I think that's going to be the pattern all year long. Just out of necessity.
Yep.
Perez, a 2-run double in the second. He's 1 for 2. Let's see. I think Stefan Crichton is out of options. And the way he pitched last year, you're going to want him back there anyway. But you do have to maintain as much bullpen flexibility as possible to keep shuttling guys back and forth. 80 pitches down for Caleb. There was some minor news today, if you want to call it that, from Diamondbacks camp. They did make some roster moves, and the most notable of which was Dalton Varsho optioned to the AAA Reno roster. So it doesn't look like Dalton's going to be on the opening day roster. He's not had a great spring. I think they want to see him hit a little bit more consistently. One and two. So you still have, in terms of filling Cole Calhoun's spot in right field on opening day a week from tomorrow, you still have Trace Thompson here, Pavin Smith here as potential opening day right fielders. Tim LeCastro in the mix as well. Both Thompson and Pavin Smith have had long looks this spring. 2 and 2.
It was good news on Cole Calhoun to hear he faced some live pitching today. Yeah, it's a process coming back from the knee surgery, and as Torrey told us last week, the big test is going to be when you get him on the bases and he has to start and stop and do the physical things you need to do as a runner in the game of baseball, as opposed to just standing in the batter's box and swinging away. But so far so good for Cole.
He looks good. He's been hitting for a while now. He has a brace on that knee. He's walking around. Live BP today, but as you said, the running will be the real test. Now action in the Diamondback bullpen with Caleb about to throw pitch number 85 here. Trying to get through the 6th. Full count, 3 and 2 on Perez. There goes Chang, and that's in the dirt. Just the second walk issued by Caleb Smith tonight. Let's remind you about our Fox Sports Arizona fan poll question on the Twitter. What is the best spring training cliche? Well, I'm working on something. I'm in the best shape of my life. Well, I've made some adjustments. Or D, hey, it's only spring training. Results coming up later in the broadcast. You can participate on the Twitter. Just check out the Twitter feed from Fox Sports Arizona. Conference time now with Matt Hergis. There is action, as we mentioned, in the bullpen. Taylor Gilbo, the left-hander, warming up.
I actually used that best shape of my life one spring.
The best shape.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was.
How'd it work out for you?
Not good at all.
What happened?
My former roommate Max Venable and I went to Candlestick Park 6 days a week all winter long.
Candlestick Park in the wintertime.
In the wintertime.
Wow. That's dedication.
3 days a week we would run the upper deck, up one aisle, across, down the other aisle. And by the end of the winter camp, we called it, we would make 3 laps around the upper deck of Candlestick Park doing that.
Wow.
We didn't have a lot of the high-tech equipment the guys have now. We actually put on this vest that had a snow tire chained to it. And you would run around and drag the snow tire behind you.
I'm picturing Rocky IV.
A little bit like that,
in
yeah.
Siberia, training for the Drago rematch. You're, running through snow.
I must break you. Yeah, I know that. But, I felt great. I looked good in my golf shirts, but
and then what
just
happened?
Didn't translate. I don't know.
Did you get to see any Niners football practices?
No. They were down, I think, Santa Clara then. They used to train down there between games.
I picture you catching, I don't know, Steve Young pass or something.
Dragging a snow tire.
That's right. Hit Brenly on his short curl.
And there were many times Max and I would be driving home and I'd tell him, I think they're just jerking us around. I don't think any of this has any useful purpose. Hey, let's see if Brendan will drag a snow tire around the ballpark today.
Sure enough, we got him to do it.
Yeah, we got him to do it. You win the bet. I get the feeling it was one of those deals.
1-1 on Andres Jimenez. Caleb trying to end this 6th inning. It's hit hard and by Pavin Smith. They will wave Chang home from second to make it 6-5. 3 consecutive have reached after Caleb Smith got the first 2 outs in the inning. And that's going to be it for the left-hander. They'll go to the other lefty as Gilbo comes in. We'll take a break. It's 6-5 D-backs in Scottsdale. Back at Salt River Field, Steve Berthume, Bob Brenly with you. Diamondbacks trying to win this top of the 6th inning. A 1 run already in for Cleveland. And the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the left-hander Taylor Gilbo, claimed off waivers from Seattle last October. Not a lot of big league experience over 2 seasons with the Seattle Mariners. His numbers last year.
More walks and strikeouts in his 7 2/3 innings of work. Similar numbers this spring for Gilbo. This will be his 6th appearance in a Cactus League game. 4 2/3 innings coming into play tonight. 2 strikeouts, 3 walks.
27-year-old lefty, big, tall, skinny guy, 6'4", 190. Ben Gamble, the new center fielder, is the batter. 2 on and 2 out. A run is in. Gamble's first at bat today. Taylor Gilbo usually has a fastball. It's got some life on it, 94, 95. That fastball velocity dipped last year with Seattle. He was down to 91 as he dealt with a left shoulder strain. But back and healthy this year. Worked primarily as a starting pitcher over a 4-year career at the University of Alabama. Roll Tide. A couple of minor league seasons in the national system after Washington took him with a 10th round pick back in 2015. There's a lot of discussion about what's the best physical body type for a pitcher. It used to be the big, thick, sturdy right-hander drop and drive. But now the consideration that, might be in this era of flexibility and everything, might be more like the Jacob deGrom type of, model where you've got some, some flexibility. You're able to rotate more, long and lean like a Jacob deGrom, or like right here, Taylor Gilbo. Maybe this is the more ideal physical body type for a pitcher.
Well, you mentioned the drop and drive. You think of guys like Tom Seaver, Roger Clemens, the guys that had long upper bodies and thick lower bodies. Maybe not long legs, but thick, strong legs.
Hamill takes a cut. Gilbo comes on, gets the strikeout, strands 2. Indians get a run. It's 6-5 Diamondbacks. School night out on the berm. D-backs fans, Fox Sports Arizona is becoming Bally Sports Arizona. Bally Sports will be the new network of your favorite team starting March 31st. The day before opening day, which is a week from tomorrow. Diamondbacks leading the Indians 6-5. Former D-back great Oliver Perez, the left-hander. New pitcher for Cleveland. What a nice crowd with us here in Scottsdale, just over 2,200. Oliver Perez, I think he comes in tonight about 60 years old, but boy, I mean, this guy has been effective year after year after year. His numbers from a terrific season last year.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about the quick pitch, the Louis Tiant-like delivery, and Oliver Perez has it all. He'll turn his back to a hitter. He'll quick pitch. He'll sidearm. He'll throw it straight over the top. He's a survivor. He just finds a way to stay relevant in the game of baseball and usually finds himself on a team come opening day.
16 scoreless appearances for Cleveland last year. Lefties hit only a .185 against him. Carson Kelly, the right-hand hitter, leads it off. Bobby Bradley, I believe, is the new first baseman for the Indians, one of their top prospects. Carson so far struck out twice against Aaron Savali. He's 0 for 2. Bradley Zimmer, the new right fielder, placing Josh Naylor. Oliver Perez, 39 years old. He'll be 40 August 15th. His 19th season as a major league pitcher. Carson hits it deep the other way. It backs up Zimmer. He's got room just shy of the warning track. One away in the 6th. One away now for Tim LeCastro. Loco 0 for 2 so far. It seems at some point very late in the year last year that the coaching staff in the front office, and Torrey mentioned this a couple of times, figured we've got to find more at bats for Tim LeCastro. He just makes things happen out there, creates havoc, and he's been hit by a pitch.
What a shot.
Anything to get on base. It's good to see Tim in midseason form right there.
He's been working on that all winter.
That's right. He's made adjustments.
It looked like a breaking ball. It just got away from Perez, ran inside and catches him on the back of the left calf, rather. Heads on down to first base. You know, especially you talk about finding at bats for Tim LeCastro last season when the club pretty much as a unit was struggling offensively. That's where you really need speed. That's where you really need a guy that can get on base and maybe steal himself into scoring position.
Domingo Leyba batting in the pitcher's spot. Taylor-made double play. Nice scoop by Bradley there. And that ends the 6th inning. Diamondbacks lead the Indians 6-5. Well, this is a sight for sore eyes. The big right-hander, John Duplantier, 26 years old, 6'4", 240. On to start the 7th inning. Didn't get to see any of Dupe last year as he battled injuries. His numbers in 2019. 1-1, 4.42 ERA, had a save, appeared in 15 games, 6 different stints on the major league roster in 2019, and he may top that this year.
He earned a save in his major league debut. That was on the 1st of April against the Padres. No April Fools there.
Yeah, that was a 3-inning save at San Diego. Carson Kelly's night is over. Brian Holiday takes over behind the plate. Josh Van Meter, who they want to get a look at an outfield spot, has taken over for Tim LeCastro in right field. Trace Thompson moves over to center, and the new second baseman is Domingo Leyba. They're getting long looks as much as they can anyway at both Wyatt Matheson and Josh Van Meter in corner outfield spots. Now Van Meter's a little more used to that than Wyatt is. Wyatt had basically never played the outfield. Van Meter, when he came up 2 years ago, played a lot of left field for Cincinnati, so that's not altogether new for Josh. It is basically brand new for Wyatt. And Wyatt Matheson gets an opportunity right there.
We've seen Van Meter make some nice plays out in right field this spring, getting the balls quickly down the right field line, holding hitters to a single, or in one instance threw a guy out at second base trying to stretch it into a double.
Now Ramirez will spin around at bat left-handed against the right-hander Duplantier. It's all about flexibility. The more positions you can play, the more you offer the ball club, the better chance you have to stay on the major league roster.
It's funny how that's really changed in the game as well. When I first made my way through the minor leagues for 30 years, you had to have a position. If you were going to make it to the big leagues, you had to be good at a position, whether it's first base, right field, whatever your position was. If you were good enough to play that position, you were going to be a third baseman. You were going to be a left fielder. It was only the guys who maybe were borderline making the roster. Maybe he can play a little outfield. Maybe he could play a little infield. You know, a guy that maybe could be a third catcher on the roster. You maybe carried one guy on the roster that had versatility, that could play all over the field. Nowadays, we're seeing half the roster is made up of guys who can play multiple positions.
Well, for Duke, 2 outs on 5 pitches. See the big, long, loping strides of Trace Thompson there with those long legs out in center field. Ran that one down. And now here's Eddie Rosario, who's 0 for 3.
Anytime I see a long-legged center fielder wearing a Diamondbacks uniform, I go right back to Devon White. Man, could he cover some ground. Long legs, long strides, just kind of glided across the outfield. Trace Thompson, a similar build.
It's good to see John Duplantier out there healthy again and throwing. Missed all of last year with elbow trouble. Was finally healthy this spring. And believe it or not, cut himself trying to put together a razor, which is a serious injury for a pitcher, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So he's really just getting into the swing of things now. Two years ago, we saw the sinkers with 4-seam fastball, slider and curveball. Gets a lot of movement on that sinker. Slider was the best secondary offering he had 2 years ago. Brian Holiday back there behind the plate. I've become a huge Brian Holiday fan, watching the way he interacts with his teammates, mostly the pitchers, of course, but he's got a presence about him. There's no doubt about it. It reminds you a lot of Jeff Mathis. Skied first base side. Label wants it. And John Duplantier, welcome back, Duke. A 1-2-3 7th. We stretch in Scottsdale. We're at 6-5 Diamondbacks. Game summary. A little cool night here. Comfortable. Hasn't slowed down the offense at all.
Not at all. Ketel Marte got it started with that leadoff home run for the Diamondbacks. The Indians answered. A little traffic jam there at home plate. Josh Rojas continues to swing a hot bat this spring. Doubled into the gap to drive in two. As Drupal Cabrera with a long two-run homer down the right field line. Eddie Escobar joins the hit parade. A lot of loud contact for the D-backs offense tonight.
Our nationwide vision eye on the game. Our Gila River game summary. Home runs by Ketel Marte as Drupal Cabrera. David Peralta has a couple of doubles. Ketel a homer and 2 walks. He scored 3 times. No shortage of offense for either side. Diamondbacks have been out hit 8-6, but they lead at 6-5. As we get set for the bottom of the 7th inning, Wyatt Matheson will lead it off against the new pitcher for Cleveland. I believe this is the right-hander Trevor Stephan. It's all about the choreography. Yep, that's Trevor Stephan right there. His numbers 2 years ago in the Yankees minor league system. Something that rolled onto the field that has to be taken care of, and now we're set to go as Wyatt steps in. Matheson, a .229 batting average in 20 Cactus League games. He's getting a long look this spring. He has doubled twice, knocked in 5 runs. Mentioned a moment ago, Torey Lovullo had said the other day that they want to see if they have a chance to evaluate both Wyatt and Josh Van Meter as corner outfielders. Brand new territory for Wyatt, who began his career as a catcher in the Pirates minor league system. Van Meter had played a fair amount of left field 2 years ago in Cincinnati. But he, just like Wyatt, is a natural infielder.
Of course, the thing you worry about moving, not necessarily worry about, but you move an infielder to the outfield. Obviously, the throws are much longer. Cover a lot more ground out there defensively. Running right to left and in and back should be no problem for an infielder, but occasionally those throws back, especially if you have to make a long throw from right field to third base or left field to home plate, that's when you get a little concerned about moving infielders to the outfield. But as we mentioned earlier, Josh Van Meter has shown a very strong, accurate arm from the outfield. Haven't seen enough of Wyatt Matheson out there in left field to grade his arm yet.
Got himself into a good count there at 3-1, fouled it off, and now it's full 3-2 with Pavin Smith on deck. You were talking the other day about catchers these days and how they like to get down low. Everybody's down low behind the plate. Bo Taylor back there now for Cleveland. Dropping one leg. There it is.
Down to a knee, give the target down at the bottom of the zone or even below the bottom of the zone, so your glove is always coming back up toward the middle of the strike zone as you receive those low pitches.
Wyatt has gotten himself into a good count, but he's fouled off a couple of pitches here. Wyatt Matheson, once a second-round draft pick out of high school in Corpus Christi, Texas. Drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Was a catcher his first 2 years in the minors and then converted into a third baseman. Once again on 3-2.
Hanging tough. And talking about Matheson and his capabilities as an outfielder, the bottom line is if you hit enough,
they'll find a spot.
They'll find a spot. There's a lot of barely adequate fielders on the corners in the major leagues right now because they are powerhouses offensively.
And I think that's especially true in Wyatt's case, being a right-hand batter. They could use that right-hand bat. Got himself into a good count. Missed a breaking ball that time. That's a strikeout for Stephan. Fun out on the berm. D-backs lead the Indians 6-5. More TV tomorrow. We'll have the Kansas City Royals broadcast for you on Fox Sports Arizona. That's a 1 o'clock start. From up in Surprise, Luke Weaver against left-hander Danny Duffy. Haven Smith now. Haven bounces one over the head of Stephan. Nice stop there. Haven Smith's aboard.
Well-placed grounder that time. You see where the second baseman starts. That ball's bounced over the right side of the mound. Nice play.
It's Owen Miller out there.
Yeah, just too much time had elapsed. Pavin beats that out easily for an infield hit.
Josh Rojas has had another big night. A walk and a 2-run double. When Josh Rojas first came up a couple of years ago, had a lot of luck hitting everything down and in. Started seeing then naturally everything away as the league adjusted to him. And as Darnell Coles was telling us earlier, had some trouble getting to those pitches down and away. And they think they've corrected that issue with Josh's swing adjustments. Just like in the poll, he's made some adjustments.
Yes, he has.
And so far, so good.
I mean, obviously, if you're going to make major adjustments to your swing or to your delivery as a pitcher, what you're looking for is immediate positive results.
Well, he sure had it. But it will be interesting to watch over the course of this year that, okay, now how is the league going to once more adjust to Josh Rojas? If he can start getting to that pitch away, they're going to have to come up with some other idea.
And because his stance is squared off and his hands are in a better hitting position this year, he's probably going to be a lot quicker on pitches inside.
Ooh, right up the middle. Josh Rojas. What a spring. Rojas aboard for the third time tonight.
But for Stefan out there on the mound, he's just glad that ball didn't hit him in the ankle. That there was smoked up the middle of the field.
All of Josh's hits have had that very same sound, it seems like. A chance for Trace Thompson. 2 on and 1 out. Trace Thompson, after a red-hot start to the spring, the offensive pace has slowed. 182 in 19 Cactus League games, and he is coming into tonight tied with Rojas for the most spring training at bats. He's had a very long look with Cole Calhoun injured. The problem for Trace, as it's been for years now, is the consistent contact or a lack thereof. He hits the ball as hard as anyone. We've seen that, sure, but he has struck out 22 times in 55 at bats. And that's the only thing that gives you pause. He's covered a lot of ground out there. Can play center field, can play corner outfield spot, has got the power, we know that. Just need to see a little bit more consistent contact. One ball and 2 strikes. There's another strikeout. Second for Stephan. 2 down in the 7th, and that'll bring up Yuniel Kirakudo.
Trevor Stephan was just informed on Sunday that he was going to make the opening day roster for the Indians, and you can see why the way he's throwing the ball here tonight. Mid to upper 90s, smooth delivery. The ball just explodes out of his hand.
Karakudo today was on the list of Diamondbacks players reassigned to minor league camp. Dalton Varsho was optioned at AAA Reno. Reassigned to minor league camp today. Karakudo, Domingo Leyba, and pitchers Seth Frankoff, Ryan Buchter, and Miguel Aguilar. Karakudo's had a fairly solid spring, 6 for 19. He's doubled 3 times. 2 on and 2 out. Karakudo took over third for Eduardo Escobar. Escobar had an RBI single in the 5th. Uniel Karakudo, his 4th season in the D-backs organization. The last time he played in the major leagues, 2016, he had 11 at-bats with Tampa Bay. And he's hung in. He's not seen the big league since. 28 years old. He's a pretty slick defender down there. You could put him at second, third, maybe even shortstop and feel pretty good about it. Guys like that have value. Short left. Who wants it? Look out, everybody. We'll head to the 8th inning. Yohan Lopez on his way in with a 6-5 lead.
Something.